Finally, at last, ladies and gentlemen, the Chechen monster Khamzat Chimaev will be fighting for the undisputed UFC championship of the world, the middleweight championship of the world, as he's going up against a man who defies the phrase underdog to a top dog, the pride of South Africa, the undisputed middleweight champion of the world, Dricus Du Plessis, the most awkward yet the most effective fighter that we have probably seen in this beautiful sport. Now, let's talk about the champion first, Dricus Du Plessis. I mean, the man, let's be honest, the man keeps defying the odds. The man keeps defying the logic of MMA. And the man, most importantly, keeps on winning. The man is 9-0 in the UFC. And he has absolutely beat every single middleweight legend that you can think of. Israel Adesanya dominated him. Robert Whittaker dominated him. Brad Tavares, a tough veteran. Darren Till, Derek Brunson, the list goes on and on and on. Sean Strickland twice. So there is no debate anymore, ladies and gentlemen. Dricus Du Plessis is one of the greatest middleweights of all time. The man is a winner. Say what you want about him. But one thing that you gotta give him credit for is that he always finds a way to win. Now, this is the X factor in this fight. If you actually think about it, almost, if not every single Dricus Du Plessis opponent throughout his UFC career, they've all been strikers. And if you actually think about it, the middleweight division itself is filled with nothing but strikers. Since the beginning of the division, since the beginning times of the division, when you talk about Anderson Silva, when you talk about Vitor Belfort, when you talk about every single legend who stepped into the middleweight division, most of them were strikers. But this is the X factor in this fight. Dricus Du Plessis, not only will he be fighting a wrestler, but the man will be fighting a wrestler with knockout power and with sharp boxing. And this man is none other than the charismatic enigma, the wolf, Boars Khamzat Chimaev. What can you say about Chimaev? The man entered the UFC 5 years ago and his rise has been exceptional. So much so that even in his first fight in the UFC, most people said, hey, this man will be a world champion without a doubt, probably in the next 12 months. But it took him longer because of the health issues and many other factors. But that doesn't matter now. We are here. All that matters is the present. And in the present time, Chimaev is about to fight for the undisputed middleweight championship of the world in a few days. Let's break down this fight. Like I said, in my opinion, the X factor is Chimaev's wrestling. Dricus Du Plessis, the man is an absolute monster. He's strong, powerful, switch hitter, which is why he bamboozles a lot of his opponents, because the man doesn't stay or doesn't stick to one stance for more than a couple of minutes. But in my opinion, his power hand, well, this is not my opinion, this is a fact, ladies and gentlemen. His power hand is the right hand. But a lot of times, what he likes to do is he likes to go to the southpaw stance to discipline you with that violent and ferocious lead powerful jab. And you know who does that in boxing? Terence Bud Crawford, if you actually think about it. Terence Bud Crawford, the reason why he likes to go southpaw all the time is because he likes to put his power hand in the front so that he can discipline you with that check hook and with that violent and powerful jab. Now, of course, you can't compare the jab of Terence Bud Crawford to Dricus Du Plessis. Dricus Du Plessis doesn't really have the best or most accurate striking, but he's powerful. He is powerful and he is effective, and that is all that matters. But Let's be honest. We all see the same thing when it comes to Dricus Du Plessis. The man is everything but flawless. He is filled with flaws. When you talk about his technique, when you talk about his balance, when you talk about his defense, when you talk about everything you can think of, we all see holes and weaknesses everywhere. But more times than not, in a fight, the will overpowers the skill. And Dricus Du Plessis' will is unlike anything we have ever seen in the middleweight division, ladies and gentlemen. His skill, probably every single man who beat him got better skills than him. Adesanya is more skilled. Whitaker is more skilled. Strickland is definitely not more skilled. But Dricus Du Plessis' will is stronger than every single opponent that he's ever faced. And he can take a punch. He has a chin and a half. So we're talking about the will. Now that we gave the champion all the credit in the world that he deserves, let's talk about the challenger, the superstar, the man who's born to shine, the man who's born to become an absolute mega and global star, Khamzat Chimaev. You know what I believe? After giving Dricus all this credit, and he deserves it. The man deserves all the credit in the world. But I got Khamzat Chimaev in this fight. And not only do I have Khamzat Chimaev in this fight, but I think that Khamzat Chimaev will finish and put a stamp on Dricus Du Plessis and become the new undisputed middleweight champion of the world. Let me tell you this. When it comes to the skill level, I believe that Khamzat is better everywhere. I believe that his defense is better. I believe that his boxing, his jab, even Khamzat switches stances. We said that Dricus switches stances. Guess who also switches stances? Khamzat Chimaev. We said that Dricus is powerful and effective. Guess who's also powerful and effective? Chimaev. We said that Dricus can take a punch. Guess who can also take a punch? Khamzat Chimaev. And you know who, for the first time in Dricus' career, might match him when it comes to the will, not just the skill. It is Khamzat Chimaev, ladies and gentlemen. The man's will. I mean, if you actually doubt Khamzat's will, just watch that Gilbert fight. He was weight drained. He was sick. He was inexperienced. He was far from being in his prime. And he gave us one of the greatest 3-round fights we have ever seen in the UFC. So I have no question in my mind that Khamzat has all the will in the world. And especially when we saw that fight with him flaunting his will to the world. He didn't have responsibilities back then. Now the man is a father. And if there's one thing we know in combat sports history, that when a fighter, not just in combat sports, in life, when someone becomes a father, the purpose becomes more powerful than ever. And I believe this will play a massive role in this fight. And not just that. Not just that. In my opinion, when you talk about sports in general, but especially combat sports, alcohol is the enemy. I mean, actually, let me rephrase that. Alcohol is the enemy in life. Alcohol is what is the definition of poison. Whoever drinks alcohol, it's all downhill. I mean, yes, you have your exceptions, but there's a reason. I'm not trying to speak about religions and stuff, but there's a reason why alcohol is forbidden. There's a reason why alcohol is haram, whether it's in the Quran or whether it's even in the Bible. And I believe that Dricus is Christian, and Dricus drinks a lot. Dricus, I don't want to say the man is alcoholic, but that is automatically a weakness. When you drink alcohol, that is a weakness, ladies and gentlemen. And that is something that you will never see from Khamzat Chimaev. You will never see the man drinking. You will never see the man partying. You will never see the man celebrating in clubs and with women and with this and that. But Dricus, on the other hand, he's the exact opposite. And yes, I get it. That doesn't always transpire when you talk about the clean fighter outside of the ring winning. But this is what I believe, ladies and gentlemen. I believe that every single detail. It's the small things, it's the little things that win you in life. And when you talk about alcohol and partying and everything you can think of, these vices, they are far from the little things. They are, in fact, the biggest things. They are the X factors when you talk about winning, losing, succeeding, and failing in life. So I believe that Khamzat Chimaev has everything it takes to not just beat Dricus Du Plessis, to not just become a UFC champion, but to inspire the world and become the face of the sport of mixed martial arts and the face of the UFC. Khamzat Chimaev is coming to Chicago, Illinois this weekend, and he is about to deliver one of the most memorable performances you will ever see. I got Khamzat Chimaev by finish.